What happens when Hollywood stops whispering and finally says what it really thinks? What happens when the industry that once treated you like royalty suddenly treats you like a risk? What happens when a studio as massive, as powerful, as agenda-driven as Amazon MGM Studios looks at your name, your reputation, your headlines, your drama, and says, "But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates." No, not anymore. We're done. That is exactly what just happened to Meghan Markle. And whether you adore her, despise her, defend her, or can't stand to hear her name one more time, there's one thing nobody can deny. Hollywood has reached a breaking point. Because this isn't a rumor. This isn't a source says. This isn't a tabloid headline spun out of thin air. This is a studio decision. A cancellation. A door slammed shut. And right in the center of this storm stands Lily Collins. Hollywood's sweetheart, Netflix's golden girl, a woman known for being calm, kind, professional, and famously unwilling to involve herself with drama. And yet she said no. Not quietly. Not indirectly. Not through coded language or polite excuses. She said no in a way that forced Amazon MGM to rethink the entire project. She said no in a way that tipped the first domino. She said no in a way that exposed something deeper. A tension simmering beneath Hollywood's glossy surface for years, a frustration that has finally burst into the open. Because this time, it wasn't just Lily Collins refusing to work with Meghan. It was what followed. The silence, the hesitation, the emails that accidentally leaked, the agents who didn't want their clients near the drama, the producers who warned the project was becoming a liability. The rising panic inside Amazon MGM as they realized they weren't dealing with just one diva complaint, they were dealing with an industry that had quietly decided, "We're tired of this. We're not playing this game anymore." So here's the question. What exactly happened behind closed doors? What made Lily Collins, one of the most famously easygoing professionals in Hollywood, say enough? What was Meghan demanding? What was she rewriting, controlling, insisting, reshaping? And why were actors suddenly backing away from her faster than a burning building? Today, we are going to peel back every layer of this story. Slowly, carefully, dramatically. Because the truth isn't just one scandal. The truth isn't just one argument in a conference room. The truth is a chain reaction that exposes everything Meghan has been attempting to rebuild. Her Hollywood comeback, her brand, her image, her future in the entertainment industry. But before we dive into the chaos, the walkouts, the breakdowns, the heated meetings, the last-minute cancellations, let's step back for a moment and ask a very simple question. Why does this story matter now? Because Meghan Markle is in her return to Hollywood era. Everything she does is being positioned as the comeback. Every project is the reinvention. Every interview is the new chapter. She needs Hollywood. She needs studios. She needs allies. She needs opportunities, credibility, roles. Anything that proves she can exist outside the shadow of the royal mansion and the Netflix documentary days of explosive drama. But what if Hollywood doesn't want her back? What if the industry is quietly shutting doors? What if casting directors are warning actors to steer clear? What if studios see her as unpredictable, high-risk, impossible to direct? What if Lily Collins was simply the first to voice what everyone else was already thinking? That's why this story matters. Because Amazon MGM wasn't just one more contract on Meghan's resume. It was the contract, the one that could have proven she could carry a film, the one that could have defined her next decade, the one that could have rewritten her Hollywood narrative. Instead, it collapsed, loudly, publicly, embarrassingly. And now, as insiders whisper, executives sigh with relief, and Hollywood collectively shifts its weight away from Meghan Markle, the real question becomes, what really happened inside those meetings? How did a rising project with major studio backing fall apart this quickly? Why did the chemistry between Meghan and Lily Collins go from tentative curiosity to immediate rejection? And why is no one, not one actor of Lily's caliber, willing to be attached to a Meghan-led project anymore? To understand the fallout, we need to rewind to the very beginning, to the moment Meghan walked into Amazon MGM Studios for early development meetings. She thought she was being welcomed. She thought the executives were excited. She thought she would be treated like a rising Hollywood name again. But something was already off from the very first handshake. And here's where things get fascinating. People inside the studio noticed immediately. Meghan wasn't acting like an actress joining a film. She was acting like she was producing it, directing it, headlining it, and rewriting the studio handbook. From day one, before a script was finalized, before the cast was locked, before the budget was approved, before Lily Collins even read her scenes. And this is where the contradictions begin. Because Meghan says she wants opportunity, but she also wants control. She wants collaboration, but she also wants power. She wants to be taken seriously as a professional actress, but she insists on calling the shots like a studio executive. Ask any producer in Hollywood, and they'll tell you. That combination is combustible. But here is where everything gets even more complicated, and this is where the audience, you, must ask yourself, what would make Lily Collins, of all people, take a stand? This woman survived the chaos of Emily in Paris fame, worked with massive studios, demanding directors, complicated personalities, intense shoot schedules, and she's known for being unshakably calm. She doesn't get dramatic. She doesn't get petty. She doesn't get involved in ego wars. So if Lily Collins refused to work with someone, the issue had to be significant. And the studio knew it. In fact, the moment Lily's team informed Amazon MGM about her decision, the energy inside the building shifted. Assistants stopped pretending everything was fine. Agents started sending uncomfortable emails. Executives began asking questions they should have asked earlier. Were Meghan's demands too big? Were there early warnings they ignored? Were they about to sink millions into a project that could implode the moment it hit production? And worst of all, were they about to cast someone the rest of Hollywood won't even step on set with? One Amazon MGM staffer reportedly said something that perfectly captured the tension. When one actor refuses, you investigate. When 2 actors refuse, you worry. When 6 actors refuse, you cancel. And that is precisely what was about to unfold. But before we reach that point, before we get to the rejections, the leaked memo, the tense boardroom conference, or the moment Amazon MGM finally said, "We're out," you need to understand what triggered everything. Because believe it or not, Lily Collins wasn't the first person to sense trouble. She was simply the first to walk away. Everything else, every rejection, every hesitation, every studio meeting that spiraled into chaos, all leads back to one crucial moment. The table read. The day Meghan and Lily sat face to face for the first time. The day Meghan made a decision that stunned the room. The day Lily saw exactly what the studio was ignoring. The day the entire project's fate shifted permanently. But we're not there yet. Because the introduction of this story isn't about the table read. The introduction is about the atmosphere before it, the rising tension, the industry whispering, the sense that something was about to break. And here's something every Hollywood insider will tell you. Studios don't cancel a project because of one bad day. It takes pressure. It takes pattern. It takes confirmation from multiple directions that the risk is real. And that is exactly what Amazon MGM was seeing. Meghan wasn't flexible. She wasn't adaptable. She wasn't collaborative. She wasn't taking direction. She was demanding control of a project she didn't create, didn't fund, and didn't have the authority to reshape. But the most shocking part? Meghan thought she was winning. She thought she was asserting power. She thought she was signaling confidence. She thought she was reminding Hollywood that she wasn't just another actress. She was Meghan Markle. Meanwhile, actors were pulling out. Producers were documenting everything. Agents were advising their talent to avoid the project. Lily Collins was preparing to walk. And Amazon MGM? They were calculating how fast they could back out without causing a publicity crisis. But the real story, the story that turned a simple actor refusal into a studio-level cancellation, didn't unfold until the moment Lily stood up, closed her script, and said 8 words that would echo through Amazon MGM like a fire alarm. Words that left the room silent. Words that forced the studio to look at Meghan's behavior differently. Words that would eventually cause the entire project to collapse from the inside out. And here's where the introduction ends, and the story truly begins. Because what Lily Collins said wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't confrontational. It was worse. It was honest. And what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. The story didn't begin with chaos. It didn't begin with Lily Collins standing up, or Amazon MGM executives panicking, or actors refusing to sign on. It began with hope. Meghan Markle walked into Amazon MGM studios believing, truly believing, that she was about to rewrite her entire Hollywood destiny. And that's what makes this chapter so important. Because before everything fell apart, it actually looked like everything was about to fall into place. But did it? Or was the disaster already brewing the moment she stepped into the building? Let's start at the beginning. Meghan wanted a comeback. Not a small one. Not a modest one. Not a safe, supporting role comeback that most actors attempt when returning after years of absence. She wanted a starring role in a prestige drama backed by a major studio. She wanted a character written for her, shaped around her, designed to reintroduce her as not just a recognizable face, but a legitimate Hollywood force. This wasn't about acting. This was about rebirth, relevance, validation. So when Amazon MGM Studios invited her for early development discussions, Meghan felt something she hadn't felt in years. Power. She wasn't the outsider anymore. She wasn't the one chasing opportunities. She wasn't the actress begging for auditions. She wasn't the Hollywood newcomer who got written off after Suits. She was the star walking in with headlines, global attention, and a brand so massive even the studio's security staff whispered as she entered. But here's the first twist. Amazon MGM wasn't courting Meghan because of her acting range. They weren't courting her because she was the perfect fit for the role. They weren't courting her because she had proven herself on screen. They were courting her because she could draw attention, buzz, controversy, streaming hours, click metrics, tweets, articles, debates, think pieces, reaction videos. Meghan wasn't being treated like an actress returning to Hollywood. She was being treated like a walking PR event. And Meghan knew that. She felt it. She sensed it. And she decided to use it. That decision right there, the decision to leverage her public persona instead of her professionalism, is where everything that followed began to crack. Even before the first script meeting, even before Lily Collins read a page, even before producers realized they were dealing with something far more complicated than they anticipated. Because Meghan didn't show up to Amazon MGM Studios like someone who wanted to prove herself. She showed up like someone who believed she didn't need to. Why? Because Meghan thought the studio needed her more than she needed them. But let's slow down. Let's break down exactly what this project was meant to be. According to insiders, the film was a contemporary drama about two women navigating ambition, friendship, betrayal, and fame. It was sharp, emotional, character-driven. Exactly the kind of project actors love because it gives them space to explore depth and vulnerability. Lily Collins was the first name attached, quietly, privately, long before any announcement. She loved the script. She respected the writing. She was excited to play alongside another strong female lead, whoever that would be. And then Amazon MGM floated Meghan's name. Why her? Why now? Why take a risk? Because the studio executives believed something simple. Putting Meghan Markle and Lily Collins in the same film would explode online attention. Two women with massive audiences. Two women with opposite reputations. Two women who could ignite a cultural conversation. But Amazon MGM made one critical mistake, one that every Hollywood studio learns the hard way. Attention doesn't mean talent. Buzz doesn't mean harmony. Headlines don't mean chemistry. And almost immediately, executives noticed something unsettling. Meghan wasn't asking questions about character arcs. She wasn't asking about motivations, emotional range, or script revisions for storytelling reasons. She was asking about control. How much creative input would she have? Would she get approval on wardrobe? Would her team handle public messaging? Could she suggest changes to dialogue? Would she have influence over casting other roles? In other words, could she reshape the film around her? Amazon MGM executives exchanged looks in the room, looks that said, this may become a problem, but they ignored the red flags. Because that's what Hollywood does with big names. They ignore problems until they explode. Even then, executives reassured themselves. Lily Collins is easy. She can handle anything. Meghan probably just wants clarity. This is just early posturing. But inside the building, lower-level staff weren't convinced. They'd seen Meghan's list of early demands. The unspoken expectations of special treatment. She had a way of speaking that communicated. I'm not here to adapt. I'm here to lead. Assistants noticed it. Scheduling coordinators noticed it. Producers noticed it. And they all wondered the same thing. Would Meghan treat this as a job or a throne? The tension built slowly, subtly, wordlessly. Then came the first major turning point. Meghan received the initial script draft, and according to insiders, she didn't respond like an actor. She responded like an editor-in-chief. She wanted entire scenes reframed. She questioned the emotional beats of Lily's character. She suggested repositioning the story so her role was more central. She even hinted that certain themes should be adjusted to fit her voice. Not her character's voice. Her voice. Ask any writer. Nothing sets off alarm bells faster. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Lily Collins hadn't even seen Meghan's notes yet. She was still attached to the original vision of the script, one she admired and one she believed deserved respect. This difference, Lily wanting to honor the script, Meghan wanting to reshape it, would soon clash in a way neither woman expected. Still, despite the early warning signs, Amazon MGM pushed forward. They approved early rehearsals. They scheduled pre-production. They organized a quiet table read that would officially bring both actresses together for the first time. And Meghan walked into that building like a queen arriving at her coronation. Stylists, security, assistants carrying binders, a personal PR advisor trailing behind her. All that for a table read. Hollywood veterans raised eyebrows. Lily Collins reportedly arrived with nothing more than her script, a coffee, and a smile. A difference in energy so obvious, so jarring, that even the front desk whispered, "This is going to be a long day." Inside the room, producers tried to maintain a neutral tone. After all, this was supposed to be the moment the project came alive. But the moment Meghan sat down, she asked, "So when do we discuss the script adjustments I sent last night?" Lily looked up. Producers froze. One assistant practically held their breath. Because there were no script adjustments agreed upon. There were no scheduled revisions. There was no discussion planned. Meghan had taken it upon herself to rewrite segments of the story, and she expected the room to treat those rewrites like gospel. Now let's pause here. Imagine being Lily Collins in that moment. You come prepared. You come respectful. You come ready to work. And the person who hasn't acted in years, who hasn't proven range, who hasn't earned industry trust, starts the session by trying to take over the story. Lily didn't say anything right away. She just watched. It wasn't anger. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't annoyance. It was something worse. Recognition. She'd seen this before. Actors whose egos suffocated collaboration. Actors who sabotaged projects without even realizing it. Actors who believed their personal importance outweighed the story itself. And in that moment, Lily Collins knew something that Amazon MGM executives didn't want to admit yet. This project was going to be a nightmare. Still, the studio tried to play along. They pretended to consider Meghan's notes. They flipped through pages politely. They tried to maintain the illusion that everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. The energy was off. The dynamic was tense. The room was split between two women with two entirely different visions of the same film. And that's when Meghan made her first real mistake. She began critiquing Lily's character. Not the writing. Not the pacing. Lily's character. She feels too passive. Maybe she should be rewritten to be more supportive of my character's journey. The room fell silent. Lily didn't respond with anger. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't argue. She simply closed her script, took a slow breath, and understood exactly what the next step would be. Because here's the truth Lily Collins lives by. She will never let her professionalism be dragged into someone else's chaos. But she didn't walk out yet. Not that day. Not that moment. Instead, she let the table read continue while she mentally took notes. While she watched Meghan interrupt scenes. While she listened to Meghan push for dominance. While she witnessed the dynamic grow heavier and heavier. And the producers? They weren't naive. They saw the problem unfolding in real time. They saw Meghan pushing too hard, too fast. They saw Lily shrinking back, not out of fear, but out of disgust. By the end of the table read, they knew they had a problem. By the end of the week, they realized they had a crisis. And by the end of the month, they would understand one devastating fact. This project was not going to survive. Because right after that table read, Lily made a decision that would change everything. A decision that would send shockwaves through Amazon MGM. A decision that would spark internal panic and external rumors. A decision that would ultimately lead to the cancellation Meghan never saw coming. But before Lily walked out, before she delivered the line that would echo across the studio, Before Amazon MGM realized the entire project was collapsing, something else happened. Something small, something subtle, something that confirmed Lily's worst fear. And it happened the moment Meghan got into her car after the table read. Because she didn't leave quietly. She didn't leave reflective. She didn't leave wondering how to improve her performance. She left smiling, believing she had impressed everyone, believing she had demonstrated authority, believing she had taken control, believing she had reshaped the project in her image. In that car ride home, Meghan genuinely believed, this is my film now. But what came next would change everything. And no one saw it coming. Everything that eventually exploded, the walkouts, the refusals, the cancellation, traces back to one quiet moment. A moment so small, so subtle, so easy to overlook, yet powerful enough to shift the fate of an entire studio-backed project. It happened the first time Lily Collins opened the script after hearing Meghan Markle had been cast. Before we get into that moment, ask yourself something. What kind of actress is Lily Collins? Because this matters. In Hollywood, personality is everything. Reputation is currency. Vibe is survival. Lily Collins isn't messy. She isn't dramatic. She isn't political. She isn't the storm into rooms, cause chaos, demand rewrites type. She is the opposite. She is the actress-director's trust. The one crews love. The one makeup artists call the easiest face to work with. The one who arrives early, stays late, and never weaponizes fame. She doesn't compete with co-stars. She doesn't crave attention. She doesn't demand the spotlight. She respects the work. She respects the process. She respects the story. Which means when Lily sees a script, she actually reads it. She doesn't skim it. She doesn't flip to her scenes. She studies it. She breaks it down. She searches for emotional arcs, story beats, character flaws, pacing, structure. That's exactly what she did the day Amazon MGM Messenger delivered the script to her home with a short note. We're excited to have Meghan attached. It wasn't the words that troubled her. It was the timing. Because Lily had already read an earlier version of the script before Meghan came into the picture. A version she loved so much she privately told her agent. This might be the one. But the version that arrived after Meghan's involvement? Different. Shifted. Warped in ways that didn't feel natural or earned. Lily sensed it before she reached page 10. Something was wrong. Not wrong in the sense of bad writing. Wrong in the sense of heavy-handed adjustment. The story didn't flow the same way. The rhythms felt off. Scenes played unnaturally. Dialogue took a strange turn toward grandiosity, self-importance, and long monologues that didn't fit the film's tone. And Lily, being who she is, didn't jump to anger. She didn't assume ego. She didn't assume sabotage. She assumed revision. She assumed maybe the studio wanted it. Maybe the writers were experimenting. Maybe a creative direction changed. But as she reached the next 30 pages, the pattern got worse. Her character, previously complex, flawed, raw, beautifully written, had been reduced, softened, flattened. And the other character, the one Meghan was attached to, suddenly larger, suddenly morally superior, suddenly central to every emotional resolution. And Lily asked herself a question that felt ridiculous at first. Did Meghan rewrite the script? Not suggest, not tweak, rewrite. But she kept reading. Because that's what professionals do. They don't accuse without evidence. They don't assume bad faith. However, by page 60, Lily didn't need evidence. The changes spoke for themselves. Meghan's character now had more emotional speeches, more leadership moments, more pivotal decisions, more personal victories, more dramatic spotlights, more moral clarity, more lines, period. Lily's character, on the other hand, had fewer conflicts, fewer scenes, fewer emotionally challenging moments, fewer opportunities to shine, fewer layers, fewer reasons for the audience to care deeply. This wasn't subtle. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't a creative shift. This was repositioning. This was recentering. This was rewriting the narrative around Meghan. And Lily felt it instantly. But here's the thing about Lily Collins. She doesn't lash out. She doesn't rant. She doesn't call her agent crying. She thinks. She studies. She tries to understand. So she read the entire script again. This time with a sharper eye. And the second read-through confirmed what she hoped wasn't true. The changes were intentional. They were precise. They were surgical. They all benefited one character. Only one. Meghan's. Now, at this point, Lily still didn't walk away. She still didn't assume Meghan was at fault. Why? Because she genuinely believes in giving people the benefit of the doubt. But there was one moment, one specific scene in the rewritten script, that froze her. A scene that did not exist in the original script. A scene that seemed designed entirely for personal image building. In this new scene, Meghan's character gives a heartfelt speech about being misunderstood, judged unfairly, and held to impossible standards, while still choosing kindness, strength, and dignity. Lily sat back in her chair after reading that monologue. Not because the writing was bad, not because the message was flawed, but because it was Meghan's voice. Not the characters. Not the stories. Hers. It was a self-defense speech. A justification speech. A reclaim the narrative speech. It was personal. Too personal. It was as if Meghan used the script to respond to her critics by inserting her real-life grievances into a fictional character. And that's when Lily understood the truth. This wasn't a film script anymore. It was a vehicle. A branding vehicle. A public relations vehicle. A Meghan Markle image rehabilitation vehicle disguised as a drama. And Lily Collins was being positioned as the supporting actress to someone else's personal therapy session. She put the script down, folded her hands slowly, and whispered to herself, "Oh, this won't work." But here's the twist. Lily didn't pick up the phone immediately. She didn't call her agent. She didn't call the studio. She didn't call the director. She wanted to give Meghan a chance. A real one. Because maybe, just maybe, Meghan was unaware of how the changes affected the story. Maybe the rewrites weren't her idea. Maybe the studio pushed for a more marketable angle. Lily wanted to hear Meghan's perspective. She wanted to see her perform the scenes. She wanted to observe Meghan in a professional setting before making any decisions. And this is where the table read becomes crucial. Because the moment Lily walked into the rehearsal room, she didn't carry resentment. She didn't carry anger. She carried curiosity. She wanted to understand the real dynamic. Are Meghan's intentions collaborative? Is she open to feedback? Does she care about the story? But the instant the table read began, Lily got her answers. First, there was the posture. Meghan didn't sit with the cast. She positioned herself slightly forward, almost like a co-director. Her script was filled with self-written notes, entire paragraphs scribbled in the margins. Then there was the interruption. Every time Lily began reading a scene, Meghan jumped in with corrections. Not to the script, to the emotion, to the pacing, to the interpretation. Meghan, who had not acted in years, was attempting to guide Lily Collins as if Lily were the newcomer. Lily kept her composure, but inside, something shifted. Then came the moment that sealed Meghan's fate in Lily's mind. A producer gently reminded Meghan to let the script flow naturally. Meghan smiled. A tight smile. A diplomatic smile. The kind of smile that hides irritation. And she said, "I'm just making sure the character aligns with my voice." Your voice? Lily thought. The character's voice. Not yours. That's when Lily realized. The script hadn't been rewritten for the story. It had been rewritten for Meghan's image. And Lily Collins refuses to participate in vanity projects disguised as art. But the real breaking point, the moment Lily fully understood what needed to happen next, came halfway through the read. It was subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable. But Lily noticed everything. As she performed her lines, Meghan watched her, not as a colleague, but as competition. Not with curiosity, with measurement. And Lily felt it. This wasn't a partnership. It wasn't one actress supporting another. Meghan wasn't interested in chemistry. She was interested in dominance. So Lily made the decision. Not impulsively. Not emotionally. Not out of ego. Out of integrity. Out of professionalism. Out of respect for herself and her craft. She would not work on a film where the story existed merely to elevate one person's public image. But Lily didn't walk out that day. She didn't cause a scene. She didn't embarrass the studio. She waited, observed, collected information, confirmed patterns. Because when Lily Collins makes a move, she makes sure it is justified, undeniable, and final. The table read ended. Meghan left smiling, convinced she had impressed everyone. And Lily stayed behind for a moment. The room was quiet. Producers shuffled their papers. Assistants pretended to be busy. And that's when Lily said something softly, almost too softly for anyone to hear. "This isn't the script I agreed to." A producer looked up. "What do you mean?" Lily didn't attack Meghan. She didn't complain. She didn't rant. She simply said, "The direction has changed, and it's not something I can be part of." The producer froze. Because those words, coming from someone as respected and drama-free as Lily Collins, were a siren, a warning, a red flag wrapped in neon lights. Because if Lily Collins says a project feels wrong, studios listen. They don't question. They investigate. They panic. And panic quietly spread through Amazon MGM. But here's the thing. Lily wasn't done. She had one last step to take. One that would seal the project's fate forever. A step that would have Meghan Markle's team scrambling. A step that would send shockwaves through Amazon MGM's executive floor. A step that would turn a problematic film into a doomed one. And that step, calm, measured, devastating, would happen in the next 72 hours. Because Lily Collins was about to do something Meghan never expected. She was about to walk away. And what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Hollywood has seen divas. Hollywood has survived egos. Hollywood has tolerated impossible stars because impossible stars generate impossible profits. But what Meghan Markle walked into Amazon MGM Studios demanding. Even the veterans said they had never seen anything quite like it. Let's set the scene. It was the first official pre-production day. Not filming, not promo, not a red carpet. Just early logistical meetings. The kind where actors show up humble, prepared, respectful, grateful for the opportunity. Lily Collins arrived exactly that way. Jeans, light sweater, hair tied back, script in hand. A simple good morning. To everyone she passed. Meghan Markle arrived differently. 3 security guards, a stylist, a hair person, a makeup person, an assistant pushing a rolling wardrobe rack, and a personal PR representative walking directly behind her. Not because there were paparazzi, not because there were press, but because Meghan insisted. For a pre-production meeting, even the receptionist whispered, "Is she filming a perfume commercial or meeting the producers?" Right away, everyone could feel it. This wasn't an actress arriving to collaborate. This was someone arriving to be catered to. Someone who expected a throne, not a chair. Someone who believed the studio existed to orbit her. But let's get specific, because generalizations don't expose the truth. Here are the exact things Meghan Markle allegedly demanded on day one. Inside a building full of professionals who normally only see this level of entitlement from actors with decades-long careers and billion-dollar franchises. And even those actors aren't this bold. Demand number 1, a private dressing suite. Not a room, not a shared actor prep area. A suite, complete with full-body mirrors, a beauty lighting setup, a personal steamer, an espresso station, a vanity table, and, yes, floral arrangements she requested by name. For a day with no filming, no cameras, no makeup tests, no costume fittings, just meetings. Producers had to scramble. Assistants ran through 3 floors trying to locate mirrors, lamps, and a spare steamer. Someone even had to call a local cafe to get the espresso machine because the studio kitchen wasn't up to Meghan's expectations. Lily Collins, meanwhile, sat in the hallway cross-legged, reading her script, sipping a regular coffee from a paper cup. The contrast wasn't subtle. Hollywood noticed. Demand number 2. Only 2 people allowed to touch her hair. 1 stylist for volume. 1 stylist for smoothing. That's it. When a studio assistant tried to help adjust a hair clip before a meeting, Meghan physically stepped back and said, No, my stylist will handle that." Inside sources said the assistant felt humiliated. Lily later asked him quietly, "Are you okay?" "Don't worry. That's not normal." Demand number 3, a lighting test for the meeting room. You read that correctly. Before Meghan entered the conference room, a simple, ordinary conference room, her PR representative insisted on checking the lighting. For a script meeting, not a photo shoot, not a camera test, a meeting. They walked in, looked at the overhead lighting, frowned, and said, "This isn't flattering." An assistant had to bring in softbox panels from the photography storage area so Meghan's face wouldn't appear harsh during conversations. Once again, no cameras were rolling. This was about her being visually comfortable in a room full of producers. Lily Collins, sitting across the hall waiting, didn't say anything. But she raised an eyebrow. She knew what this meant. Demand number 4, final approval on wardrobe. Not her costumes. Her wardrobe for meetings. She requested that the studio send photos of potential outfit ideas so her personal stylist could pre-approve them for synergy with her on-set persona. Mind you, they weren't even near the set. At this point, producers were exchanging looks. But the staff kept quiet. Because that's what staff do. They survive the storm. Demand number 5. Lines of communication through her team. This one is big. Every A-lister, everyone, communicates directly with directors and producers during prep. It's standard. It's expected. It's professional. Meghan refused. She insisted all notes, feedback, schedule changes, and decisions be filtered through her PR representative first. Not her agent. Not her manager. Her PR rep. One producer said quietly. That's when I knew we were in trouble. Demand number 6. Influence over casting. This one shocked everyone. Before Lily made her decision to walk away, before actors began withdrawing, before the storm fully erupted, Meghan made a request. She wanted to approve supporting actors. Not co-leads. Not primary roles. Supporting actors. She even requested audition videos for minor characters with only 1 or 2 scenes. Why? Because she believed chemistry mattered. Chemistry is important, sure. But the studio noticed something else. She rejected every actress who had strong presence. She rejected actresses who could overshadow her in emotionally charged scenes. She rejected actresses with powerful screen energy. One casting assistant admitted, if an actress was too good, Meghan said no. The reshoots, recasting, and delays this would have caused? Astronomical. But Meghan didn't care. Demand number 7. Script changes, again. Meghan brought her personal annotated script. Not with notes. Not with suggestions. With rewrites. Full paragraphs crossed out. Entire pages flagged. Scenes marked as unnecessary. Dialogue rewritten in her own tone. When producers gently reminded her that the writer had not approved these changes yet, she responded, once they see my changes, they'll understand. Understand what? That the project was being reshaped around her? That she saw herself as the film's heartbeat, even if the story didn't demand it? That she wasn't here to be part of the cast. She was here to be the center of the universe? But it didn't stop there. Because Meghan Markle's most shocking demand wasn't about wardrobe, or lighting, or script control, or casting. It was about hierarchy. Demand number 8. Lily Collins should rotate promotional leadership. What does that even mean? Let me explain. Meghan wanted the promotional strategy for the film structured in a way that placed her up front during the earliest marketing cycles. She suggested that Lily could take the lead in later waves of PR. Translation? Meghan wanted top billing. Meghan wanted the first interviews. Meghan wanted the spotlight. Meghan wanted to be the face of the film. Lily Collins is the established actress. Lily Collins is the one with major hits. Lily Collins is the one with critical acclaim. But Meghan wanted the spotlight anyway. And when Lily quietly learned about this clause, she saw the entire picture. This wasn't collaboration. This wasn't partnership. This wasn't professional give and take. This was a takeover. One that would eat the project alive. Demand number 9. Meghan wanted to control how her character was portrayed in posters. This was the moment that truly alarmed the marketing department. Meghan wanted veto power over poster designs that involved her face. Again, before filming had begun, before the first scene was shot, before she even delivered a performance. She wanted the assurance that she would be photographed from specific angles. She would be lit in specific ways. She would appear heroic, elegant, and strong. She would not appear conflicted or morally ambiguous. But the character was written to be morally ambiguous. She was flawed, messy, real, human. Lily Collins loved that. Meghan didn't. Because Meghan doesn't want characters. She wants symbols. Symbols of her own brand. By the time this demand reached the creative team, someone joked, quietly, nervously. So Meghan wants the script to match her image, the costumes to match her image, the lighting to match her image, and now the posters to match her image. When does the movie get to be a movie? Demand number 10. Meghan asked that senior executives attend meetings with her. Another unheard of demand. Actors don't ask for the presence of senior executives for basic discussions. It slows down production. It disrupts schedules. It undermines the director. It complicates logistics. But Meghan insisted. She wanted the studio heads, not assistants, not producers, to personally sit in when she discussed her role. For what reason? Because she wanted to signal that she was operating at their level. Not an actress, an equal. And that's when one assistant scribbled a note to another in a meeting. Meghan doesn't want to act in this movie. Meghan wants to run it. Demand number 11. Meghan wanted custom on-set dietary regulations. Food preferences are normal. Dietary needs are respected. But Meghan wanted the entire craft services menu redesigned. Not just for her, for everyone. She requested a clean menu that aligned with her personal preferences, which eliminated dairy, gluten, caffeine, red meat, salt-heavy foods, most processed snacks, sodas, and sugar for the entire cast and crew. One crew member joked, "So we're all going vegan for Meghan?" No one laughed. Demand number 12. Meghan wanted early footage access. This was the final red flag. Actors never get access to early footage unless they are producers. Never. It's a strict rule. It prevents actors from micromanaging their performance. It protects directors. It protects editors. It maintains sanity. But Meghan wanted the rough cut of scenes she filmed within 48 hours of shooting them. Not for fun, for self-review. She wanted to evaluate lighting, angles, performance choices, and potentially request reshoots based on how she looked, before the director even saw the footage. This demand alone told Amazon MGM everything they needed to know. Meghan wasn't here to serve the story. The story was here to serve her. So what happens when an actress demands to control every element of a film before filming even begins? Something inevitable, something explosive, something irreversible. Producers finally stepped in, and the confrontation that followed, it would be the first public fracture between Meghan Markle and Amazon MGM Studios. And once that fracture opened, everything else collapsed through it. Because the producer showdown that followed didn't just anger Meghan, it exposed her entire approach. And what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. There are moments in Hollywood where everyone pretends everything is fine. People smile. People nod. People lie with their teeth while their eyes scream for help. And then, there are moments when the pretending stops. For Amazon MGM Studios, that moment arrived on a Tuesday afternoon around 3:40 p.m. inside Conference Room B. The room producers jokingly call the ICU because it's where troubled productions go for emergency intervention. Meghan Markle had no idea she was walking straight into it. Not because the studio wanted drama. Not because they wanted a fight. Not because they were looking for conflict. They were looking for survival. By the time this meeting happened, Meghan had already overwhelmed the staff with demands, rewrites, approvals, lighting tests, and micromanagement that would have pushed even the most patient director into early retirement. But the final trigger, the spark that lit the fuse, was her suggested revision packet. If you don't know what that is, let me explain. A revision packet is normally prepared by writers, or sometimes by the director, or, in extremely rare cases, by a star attached to a film, but only if that star is also a producer. Meghan was not a producer, yet she delivered a 31-page packet. 31. Packed with handwritten edits, rewritten monologues, shifted emotional arcs, deleted scenes, added scenes, all for her, removed scenes, most for Lily, and notes on lighting cues for emotional beats, for a film not yet filmed, for a film not yet approved, for a film she did not write. This packet landed on the producer's desk at 7:43 a.m. By 8:15, phones were vibrating. By 8:45, executives were texting. By 9 o'clock, the director was asking for confirmation. She sent what? And by 11:10, Conference Room B was booked for an emergency meeting. The showdown was coming. Meghan didn't know that. She arrived that afternoon with her usual entourage, her iced matcha, her tote bag filled with neatly color-coded binders, fully prepared to walk the team through her vision. The producers were already inside. 3 of them. All experienced. All calm. All tired in a way that said they'd seen every Hollywood personality imaginable. Except this one. Because Meghan wasn't behaving like an actress. She was behaving like someone trying to commandeer a film from the inside. The lead producer, let's call him Daniel, took a deep breath before she entered. He knew this conversation had to happen. He also knew it would go badly. Producers don't like conflict. Their job is to prevent problems, not ignite them. But at this moment, Daniel had no choice. Meghan had crossed a line that even the most egocentric stars hesitate to cross. She wasn't just asking for creative control. She was taking it. And studios don't let actors take things. They let them believe they have power. They let them feel involved. They let them influence small things. But reshaping a script around oneself? That crosses into dangerous territory. Meghan walked in smiling. A soft, confident smile. The kind of smile someone gives when they believe they've already won. "Good afternoon, everyone," she said. Her team followed her like chess pieces moving into formation. "We wanted to go over my notes for the script. I think the revisions really elevate the film." Daniel exchanged a slow look with the producer beside him. A silent message passed between them. "This will not be easy." "Meghan," Daniel began, "thank you for coming. We need to talk through some concerns regarding the revisions." Her smile thinned, just a millimeter. But it was enough. "Concerns?" she echoed, as if the word itself was absurd. "Yes," he said. "Quite a few." Meghan sat, crossed her legs, folded her hands, tilted her head, that trademark head tilt that signals pleasant disagreement. "I think the changes make the narrative stronger," she said. "More modern, more grounded, more authentic." Authentic. She loved that word. She used it a lot. Daniel nodded, diplomatically, the kind of nod producers use when they are seconds away from delivering bad news. "Here's the issue," he began. Meghan sat straighter. Her team members subtly leaned forward. "The script you revised," he continued, "is not the script we approved." Silence. Meghan blinked. "But it's a better version," she insisted. "It gives my character more depth." "Your character already had depth," one producer cut in softly. "And," Daniel added, "it also gives your character more scenes, more monologues, and more emotional resolution than the original version." Meghan didn't flinch. "Because she deserves it," she said confidently. "Deserves it." The producers shared another look. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Meghan, that's not how this works." She tilted her head again. "How what works?" "The script," he said firmly, "is not centered on one character. It's an ensemble dynamic. The story depends on balance." Meghan smiled. This smile wasn't confident. It wasn't polite. It wasn't warm. It was knowing. "Balance," she repeated. "Right." A long beat passed, and then she said the line that made every producer in the room freeze. "But let's be honest. I'm the one people will be watching. Not the story. Not the performances. Not the film. Her." That was the moment the mask dropped. The moment the producers realized the problem wasn't script changes. The problem wasn't demands. The problem wasn't ego. The problem was delusion. Meghan didn't think she was starring in a film. She thought she was the film. Daniel sat up straighter. The politeness faded. The professionalism sharpened. "Meghan," he said slowly, "this isn't a personal brand project. It's a film. With a director. With a writer. With a team." She raised her eyebrows, surprised by his tone. "I know what it is," she said evenly. "And I'm simply trying to ensure that I'm represented accurately." "Accurately," he repeated. "Yes." "This is a fictional character." Meghan stared at him. "Characters come from real experiences," she said. "And mine matter." Another producer finally stepped in. "Your experiences matter," she said gently. "But this movie isn't about your personal narrative. It's about the story that was written." Meghan's jaw tightened. "No," she corrected. "It's about the story that should be told." There it was. The pivot. The agenda. The quiet confession behind all the demands. Meghan wanted the script to reflect her life. Her struggles. Her grievances. Her public battles. Her need for vindication. She didn't want to act. She wanted to narrate her own myth. Daniel placed the revision packet on the table between them. "None of these changes were approved," he said. "And some of them undermine your co-star." Meghan's eyebrows lifted. "My co-star," she repeated. "Yes," he said. "Lily." Meghan didn't hesitate. "I don't think she'll mind." "She does," Daniel said sharply. "Very much." The temperature in the room dropped. Meghan leaned forward. "What exactly did she say?" Daniel paused. "Producers don't stir conflict between actors. It's rule number 1 in Hollywood." But Meghan asked. "She's concerned," he said finally. "She feels the tone of the script has shifted in a direction that doesn't match the character's emotional core." Translation? She hates it. But Meghan wasn't interested in translation. "You mean," she said slowly, "she feels threatened?" Daniel blinked. "No," he said. "She feels you're rewriting the story to prioritize yourself." "Well," Meghan said softly, spreading her hands, "maybe the story should prioritize me." That sentence, that single sentence, sucked the air out of conference room B. Because it wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't a creative opinion. It was a declaration of ownership. Daniel closed the packet. Meghan, he said with finality, you need to understand. This is a collaboration. If this continues, we're going to lose cast members. Meghan smiled. A gentle, pitying smile. If someone wants to walk away because the script was improved, she said calmly, that sounds like their insecurity, not mine. Daniel froze. Because that line, that dismissive, self-assured line, confirmed everything Lily had feared. Meghan didn't respect her co-star. Meghan didn't respect the story. Meghan didn't respect the process. And worst of all, Meghan didn't believe anyone else mattered. She believed she was the asset. She believed she was the draw. She believed she was untouchable. Daniel knew then. They had a crisis. But the meeting wasn't over. Because Meghan wasn't done. She reached into her binder and pulled out a color-coded chart, something she and her PR team had clearly worked on. I've mapped out a revised emotional arc, she said, sliding it across the table. It makes the character more nuanced, more sympathetic, more. Daniel didn't let her finish. He pushed the chart back gently. We are not recentering the film. Meghan's expression hardened. Then we're not telling the right story. The story, Daniel said, isn't about you. Silence. Cold. Sharp. Unbreathable. Meghan sat very still. Then she said quietly, maybe you should reconsider that. That was not a suggestion. It was a warning. Not shouted. Not aggressive. Not dramatic. But dangerous. A producer beside Daniel swallowed hard. Because Meghan wasn't just trying to take control of the script. She was threatening to take control of the entire narrative. At that moment, Daniel realized the truth. This would never work. Not as long as Meghan refused to collaborate. Not as long as she believed the film existed to rehabilitate her public image. Not as long as she saw Lily Collins as a side character in a story she intended to own. The meeting ended without resolution. Without compromise. Meghan stood, gathered her binders, smiled that tight diplomatic smile. I'll expect your updated notes by Friday, she said. And she walked out. When the door closed, no one spoke for a full 10 seconds. Then the second producer said quietly, oh, this project is dead. The third producer whispered, we need to call the director. But Daniel shook his head. His voice was low, serious, unshakable. No, he said, we call Lily first. Because Lily's reaction would determine the future. If she was upset, the project could be saved. If she was offended, the project might recover. If she was hesitant, they still had a chance. But if she was done, the project was finished. Daniel picked up the phone. Lily answered on the second ring. He didn't know her next sentence would seal Meghan Markle's fate. Because what Lily said, calm, simple, and devastating, was the moment everything flipped. And what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. There are walkouts in Hollywood, and then there are walkouts that echo. Walkouts that spread through studio hallways like smoke. Walkouts that assistants whisper about for months. Walkouts that become cautionary tales in casting offices. And then there is the Lily Collins walkout from the Amazon MGM project starring Meghan Markle. That one wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't an explosion. It was worse. It was quiet. It was calm. It was final. Let me take you inside the moment it happened. Because this chapter isn't just about Lily standing up and leaving. This chapter is about why she left. What she witnessed. What she felt. What she understood long before the studio did. And most importantly, why Lily Collins, Hollywood's most unproblematic sweetheart, decided Meghan Markle was a professional risk she could not afford. Let's start where Chapter 4 ended. Daniel, the producer, calling Lily Collins. The phone rang twice. Lily picked up. She was in her living room, still in her rehearsal clothes, her script open on the coffee table. Daniel? Everything okay? He hesitated. Producers don't hesitate. Hesitation means alarm. We need to talk about the revision packet, he said. Lily already knew she wasn't going to like this conversation. She already felt a pit in her stomach ever since that table read. A slow, sinking certainty that the project wasn't salvageable. But she still gave Daniel space. What about it? She asked. Daniel exhaled. She rewrote the script. I know, Lily said softly. She gave herself more scenes, Daniel continued. She removed some of your emotional beats. She reshaped entire arcs. I know, Lily repeated. Daniel rubbed his forehead. She could hear the frustration through the phone. She doesn't see this as a collaboration, he said. She sees it as her platform. Lily closed her eyes. That was exactly the problem. Exactly the thing she couldn't fix. Exactly the thing she couldn't work around. Because good actors can handle clashes. They can handle difficult personalities. They can handle tension. But they cannot handle someone who believes storytelling is secondary to self-promotion. Lily took a slow breath. Daniel, she said gently, I can't do this film. Silence. Not confusion. Not surprise. Confirmation. Daniel knew. He saw it coming. He felt it in the room. But hearing it said aloud. Hearing it from her made it real. I understand, he said quietly. Lily wasn't done. And it's not about ego, she added quickly. I'm not threatened. I'm not upset. I'm not competing. Daniel nodded silently on the other end. It's about the story, Lily said. It's disappearing. The heart of it is disappearing. And the energy in the room? It's wrong. It's heavy. It's about to turn toxic. Toxic. A word Lily Collins rarely uses. A word she chooses carefully. A word that makes studios react. Lily continued. I've worked with intense actors. I've worked with unpredictable actors. I've worked with complicated actors. But this is different. This isn't personality. She paused. This is intention. Daniel looked down. Because he knew exactly what she meant. Meghan wasn't accidentally disruptive. She wasn't unintentionally creating tension. She wasn't overwhelmed or confused or inexperienced. She was intentional. She was strategic. She wanted control. And people like that don't change. Daniel kept his voice low. Are you sure? Lily didn't take more than 2 seconds. Yes. That one word, spoken gently, was the death sentence for the film. But here's the part no one knew yet. Lily didn't just walk away privately. She did something that actors rarely dare to do. She took a stand. A quiet stand. A polite stand. But a firm stand. After she hung up the phone with Daniel, she called her agent. Her agent answered with a laugh, assuming this was a routine check-in. It wasn't. I'm pulling out, Lily said simply. Her agent stopped breathing for a moment. What happened? She whispered. Lily explained everything. The script. The table read. The demands. The energy. The rewrites. Her agent listened without interrupting, because she knew Lily doesn't complain. Lily doesn't dramatize. Lily doesn't leave projects lightly. Lily Collins' withdrawing meant something was seriously wrong. Then came the sentence her agent never forgot. It's not a safe environment, creatively or professionally. That's a nuclear phrase in Hollywood. A phrase that activates panic in agencies. A phrase that signals potential public scandal. A phrase that makes studios scramble. But Lily wasn't done. I'm not angry, she said. I'm not upset. I just can't attach my name to this. Her agent asked quietly, should I tell the studio why? Lily didn't hesitate. Yes. Because here's what makes Lily different from the average Hollywood actress. She doesn't burn bridges, but she won't lie to protect dysfunction. Her agent emailed Amazon MGM within the hour. And that email changed everything. It didn't rant. It didn't accuse. It didn't attack. It stated facts. It stated concerns. It stated boundaries. It stated professionalism. And most damning of all, it stated that Lily was stepping away because of creative instability introduced in the aftermath of significant script disruption by a cast member. Everyone at Amazon MGM knew who that cast member was. Within minutes, executives were reading the email in total silence. Within hours, assistants were whispering in the hallways. Within the day, the rumor was spreading across every floor. Lily Collins refuses to work with Meghan Markle. The ripple effect was instantaneous. Casting paused. Scheduling halted. Producers froze. Because losing a supporting actor is manageable. Losing a co-lead is difficult. Losing Lily Collins? Catastrophic. But here's where the story gets even more dramatic. Because Lily didn't simply leave the project. She went back to the studio for one final moment. Yes, she returned. Not to fight. Not to explain. Not to negotiate. To close the door properly. This was the moment that turned her withdrawal into a legendary Hollywood moment. It happened 3 days after the phone call. Amazon MGM had asked if she would be willing to come in for a final conversation. To clarify. To ensure mutual respect. To avoid misunderstandings that could leak. Lily agreed. She arrived without an entourage. Without assistance. Without insecurity. Just Lily. Holding her script. her hair pulled back, her expression calm. A receptionist said later she walked in like someone who had already made peace with her choice. Producers led her into a private office. There were no cameras, no PR handlers, no lawyers, just truth. Daniel was there. So were two senior executives. "Thank you for coming," Daniel said, standing. Lily smiled. "Of course." One executive asked gently, "Is there anything we can adjust? Anything that would make you consider staying?" Lily took a moment. Not out of doubt, out of grace. Then she said something simple. "No, it's not about adjustments. It's about alignment." Another executive asked, "With the story? With the people telling it?" Lily clarified. The room went utterly still. She continued, "This project needs unity. It needs collaboration. It needs mutual respect. And I don't feel those things here." Daniel nodded, eyes heavy. "We understand," he said quietly. Lily added gently, "I wish you the best. Truly. But my instincts are never wrong." Instincts. That word mattered. Because Lily's instincts have guided her for years. Avoided disasters. Protected her career. Preserved her peace. Then something happened. Something no one expected. As Lily prepared to leave, the door opened. Meghan Markle walked in. Unannounced. Unscheduled. Uninvited.